What happened this past week was there was a tweet that's kind of been floating around by TD Leaker. And essentially what it was talking about was that Canada is potentially, Trudeau's government is dabbling in the idea of expanding this departure tax that already currently exists. And this is what the tweet says: Canada proposes $25,000 departure penalty and increased taxes to curb immigration crisis. In a bid to address a growing immigration crisis, the Canadian government under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is reportedly discussing significant measures to deter citizens from leaving the country. According to insider sources, the proposed strategy includes a $25,000 departure penalty along with a doubling of the existing departure tax for those seeking to relocate abroad. This approach aims to stem the tide of Canadians moving overseas amidst ongoing national crisis in housing, inflation, affordability, education, productivity, and climate. Yeah. So that was kind of what that is. And that's the problem with this tweet is, again, based on insider information, quote unquote, whatever that means. This tweet actually got community noted on Twitter. And no one really knows exactly how true any of this is. But what it did lead me to is learning that there's a departure tax here in the country, which I thought was crazy. So apparently, essentially what this thing is, it's on the Canadian government website.
Same with me. I didn't know that was a thing.
True. And especially as two guys who are thinking about possibly leaving if we have to.
Flag.
Yeah. We're getting wrecked. But apparently this is the issue of the departure tax is based on the government website. It says when you leave Canada, you are considered to have sold certain types of property, even if you have not sold them, at their fair market value, and to have immediately reacquired them for the same amount. This is called a deemed disposition, and you may have to report a capital gain on it. So the note is if the total FMV of all the property you owned when you left Canada was more than $25,000, you have to complete X amount of forms, and you are going to be taxed on it if you leave. And this is the annoying part is the fact that it was clear on that. It doesn't matter if you sold it or not. We're going to treat you as if you sold it, and we're going to tax you whatever that value is, which could be thousands of dollars if you want to leave and you own property here. So that was crazy to me to know that we are essentially they're obviously trying to disincentivize people from moving, but when you have a government that's really causing a ruckus, they're really making sure you stay stuck here if you have ties to the country.
And the point is, it's not going to affect the rich. I mean, the rich are going to look at a $25,000 penalty and go, I don't care. Like, it's not going to affect them. Who it's going to affect is people who are like the digital nomads, the upper middle class, the people who started small businesses and who have the mobility to actually be able to pick up their business and leave. And they recognize that. They're going, we're actively destroying our middle class. And those individuals who've started businesses that are digital, that can move, that have the ability to pick up and leave, or people with in-demand skills, like people in the construction industry, people in the healthcare industry, people who are professionals, that they can actually pick up and move. $25,000 is a large sum to that group. So that will be a deterrent. So this is where I'm looking at this going, they're really targeting the middle class again, being like, we know we're killing you, middle class, but we don't want you to run away and still keep your money. So if you leave, we're going to take every last cent we can possibly squeeze out of you. The thing I wonder, though, is that if you leave the country, and depending, I guess it depends on what the status of the country you're going to is. Like if you're going to the States, there's good relations between Canada and the United States. They can come after you. But I'm wondering, like, if you just say, see ya, screw it, I'm not paying your tax, and you go to another country that does not share that same kind of close relationship, can they try and charge it out of you? Or is it just you're never allowed to come back to Canada again unless you pay that tax?
I mean, that's essentially even like, believe it or not, I don't even think Canada, regardless if you're in the States or somewhere else, they really don't have the power or the resources to come after you in another country. The only people that have the power to do that is the IRS in the States. Those are the ones that have the weight behind them to go after you. I could be wrong, but that's from my understanding as well. Like, you know, if you go back to the country, there'll be a red flag on your passport, and you're just like, okay, this guy owes taxes. Are you going to pay it up? That will happen. And if you want to ever move back to Canada, you will have a bill waiting for you when you come back. And I think that's as far as it's going to go. But that's the issue is like, if you decide not to pay it and your whole plan is you're never coming back, then fair play. You mean you do you. But if you ever anything comes back where it's like, yeah, I got to go back to Canada, I got to live in Canada, something happens to your family member, this, that, the other, you're going to have a hefty bill waiting for you, which sucks, which is crazy. Cause I'm in that boat too. I'm like, that's my visceral reaction to this is screw you, come and get it. I'm not paying you nothing.
Yeah.
But like, but if everything ever happens, you have to come back to the homeland. You could be facing some tough times.
Yeah. To me, it screams more of the fact that this is a desperate attempt to stop the brain drain and stop the talent drain that they've created. Because what they've basically done is they've created a pipeline where they're bringing in people from other parts of the world that are not in the middle class range, and they're emptying out the middle class. And so you're replacing the middle class earners with low income earners, and realizing what a crappy idea this is, and then going, well, we need to stop that flow on this end, while at the same time still continuing the onslaught of immigration. So I don't know, man. To me, it just screams desperate. It just looks sad. I know that it's speculative and it's not actually something that's in place yet. But even the fact that we have a departure tax right now, that's the part, like you said, to become aware of that. I didn't know that was a thing. So I guess the only way the only way you're leaving this country without paying a departure tax is to go in a casket, I guess.
True. We don't fully know what year it came in. We're seeing possibly somewhere in the late 90s. But it's just the fact that this is a thing is so concerning. And reality is we wouldn't have known it as a thing until things got bad in our country. And that's what we've learned. You've never would have known about a policy like this unless you had to leave the country. And that's kind of more people are leaving. Mm-hmm. And people are saying, what was it? I was watching CTV. And they said 11% of our population is now living abroad.
Yeah.
11% of our population is living abroad now. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
So we'll see where this goes. But that was something I learned is, again, this departure tax. If you want to go and you own property, anything that's significant, they're gonna tax you on it. They're going to tax you capital gains on it. So. And they made sure to increase the amount that they can tax you on if it's above $250. So good luck, and we wish you well. That was electric, wasn't it? Well, we enjoyed it. Hope you did too. If you did, you can check this video out here to the top right corner right near my window. Get over. There it is. There it is right there. And if you liked that, you can also check this one right here. We love you. Have a good one. Peace out.